Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Success Sprint. Thank you for joining me on this, it's very cold and rainy afternoon here in Toronto. Not loving the weather, but that's okay. I mean, I'm happy to be here with you guys. And today we are going to take you through 30 minutes of CRM essentials. And I'm going to ask you right off the top, and I want you to be honest, how much time do you spend in your CRM each and every day? Is it 5 minutes? Is it 10 minutes? Is it 0 minutes? Is it hours? Give me a little bit of feedback. Let me know how much time you typically spend in the CRM on a daily basis. And don't be afraid to be honest. If you're one of those people that just you find it overwhelming or you don't like spending time in that CRM, then let me know, right? Maybe we can address what some of the blocks are here in terms of getting you engaged in your engaged CRM. Okay, so I'll keep an eye on the chat, but what we're going to start with is just some of the objectives that we have for our sprint today. Now, objective number one is really to have a system for sorting every lead by status and urgency. So you always know who needs attention. I think one of the challenges of working within a database, within a CRM, is it gets very overwhelming because you have so many contacts, so many leads in there. And sometimes you go in with the primary focus of just following up on new leads, but you're not necessarily thinking about, oh, what about the people I've talked to already? Or what about the people who told me they were moving in 3 to 6 months, 6 months ago? Or what about the people that I met with that I had a meeting with and they didn't sign, they weren't ready? What about those leads? Because that honestly, those people are middle of the funnel type prospects, right? And they absolutely need attention. So it's really important to have a system in place where you can easily find those people and focus on them when you need to. Objective number two is to automate a lot of the communication and follow-up. So having automation for your initial follow-up. That means when a lead comes in, they're getting a text, they're getting an email, they can get a voicemail, maybe there are tasks that are created for that lead. There really needs to be a checklist of things that happen when that new lead comes in. But we also want to have automation set up just for our monthly touches, for our nurturing campaigns that are going to go on for more than 14 days. They're going to go on for months, right? So we want to have monthly newsletters, property updates. Maybe you've got a weekly email that you send out to everybody who you know is, maybe is in the market to buy or sell in the next 3 to 6 months. So that is extremely important in terms of bringing a lot of these leads down that funnel into that awareness / consideration phase, right? That does require vigilant, constant touches and content and contact going out to those people. So that should all be automated, right? The more that's happening without your intervention, without you having to do anything, the better. And then objective number three is to use things like AI as a method to engage with your leads when they first come in. Now, we here at Success, we have developed an AI lead qualifier, which is going to engage with your leads when they first come in and ask some qualifying questions. Okay, so that is a great way to get people to respond and to start that conversation. Okay, so let's get into it. And I'm also going to keep an eye on your questions because, of course, we want to hear from you. We want to get your feedback and teach you what it is that you need to learn today. But let's start with that first objective, which is that CRM management and making sure that all of your leads are tagged and labeled and the status is all set. Obviously, if you start this process from the beginning, it's going to make things a lot easier for you. But you can also go back. You can go back in time. You can go back in history and mark people accordingly, right? So first and foremost, you're going to want to categorize your leads into 3 buckets. Okay, there's 3 categories. There is the now business, future business, and no business. So all of the now business stuff, really, really important to make sure that they are given the proper focus. So I am in a demo account right now. Just so you all know, you may see some lead information here that looks a bit strange, but that's because we are looking at a demo account. So let's say this particular lead record that I'm looking at, this is somebody that I've met with. Okay, I've had a conversation with them. I have met with them. I want to make sure that I remember to follow up with them. Okay, maybe they weren't ready to sign a BRA. They weren't ready to list their home, but they agreed to meet. So very important here in the top left corner is to mark the type of lead this is. And this could be a buyer, it could be a seller, it could be both. So let's say in this case, this is somebody who is going to be doing both. They are buying and selling. So that type is really important. And then we have the status. So active lead is the default status that everybody comes in with. So any new lead that comes into the system is going to show up as an active lead. Okay, but as they move further down the funnel, we want to update their status accordingly. So as I mentioned, this is a lead that I've met with. Okay, so let's say appointment met is the status here. And now we can also, of course, make notes. I think notes are super important, especially if you're in a team environment and you've got other people in the database looking at your contacts, looking at your leads. But the notes here is your opportunity to either tell yourself or somebody else what exactly is happening with this lead. So I can say met and discussed the sale of their home, still waiting on, let's say, some renovations before they will be ready to list. Okay. So don't rely on your memory for these things. Always make notes, make them as detailed as you can, because you may not, you just may not remember exactly what happened during that meeting. So that is in the notes. We've marked them as appointment met. We are also going to put in a callback date, okay, and that's going to remind us to call this person back. So we will give them a follow-up call. Let's say they're still working on some renovations to their property before they want to put it up for sale. So maybe that'll take a couple weeks. So if we're looking at June, I can set a reminder for myself in 2 months to give this person a call. Okay, so now that reminder is set, and I will get that reminder on June 12th to follow up with this person. That's also very helpful. And by the way, when you set these callback times or appointment dates, that will show up in the calendar, in the Engage calendar. So when you log into your CRM, also very helpful to go and take a look at the calendar, because that's going to show you exactly what activities, what things you have coming up. And if you see a blank calendar, yeah, it may be because you're using another calendar system. It may be because you haven't been doing this, of course, but having lots of events in this calendar means you've got lots of potential business that you can follow up with. So it's good to have a lot of different events in your CRM calendar. Absolutely. So going back to that lead, so I've made my notes, I've set my call back, I've updated the status, and that's really all that we need to do. Now, we could put them on a plan, right? There's a couple of follow-ups that we could activate for them right away. So up here along the top, we have our e-plans. This person doesn't have an email address. So let's just put in, I'm just going to put in an email here. Let's just put in something like this. Okay, so now that I've got an email in this lead record, you'll see that we have all of these e-plans that we can activate. So I would turn this one on. This is the monthly newsletter, and we are going to be rolling out an enhanced version of our monthly newsletter, something that will be more customized to your business and more focused on getting referrals and showcasing your power partners. But for now, we do have the standard newsletter that has content that gets updated every month for you. So we'll turn that on. And then we can also turn on our buyer-seller follow-up plan. Okay, so those are two e-plans that we can activate for this person, which will send out some content to them weekly, monthly. This is all email though, okay, all email content. Now, what we may also want to do is create a task. Now, this could be overdoing it a bit, but I just want to show you all of the things that you can do to make sure that these leads do not fall through the cracks. So let's say we create a task and we know this person is going to be selling in the future. We met with them. They're not quite ready, but we don't want to let them slip away. So maybe what I would do is I would follow up with this person and perhaps send them something, right? Send them a market report, or maybe you're going to send them some information about what you do, maybe part of a listing presentation, or maybe you want to share with them maybe some of your vendors that you work with, right? That can help them with their renovations. Think about what you can send them that is going to demonstrate that wow service that you are planning to provide for that person. So I would put in a task for yourself, or if you've got somebody on your team who can do this for you, an admin or somebody that is in charge of client follow-up and things like that, you can assign it to them. But the important thing is to get it in here and send a welcome package along with preferred vendor list. And then we're going to put in a date for this. So that's today. Let's say maybe we send it out on the weekend. You can give it a time. And then you can also set this as a guideline or a deadline. Now, when you set it as a deadline, you're going to get a reminder that tells you this task is overdue, okay, when that time passes. If it's a guideline, it will show up in your task list on that day, but you won't necessarily get reminders because it wasn't given that deadline notification level. We've got our users, right? So you could assign different users to this task. You can have followers, so you've got multiple people who are keeping an eye on this task. So that's a really great way to use the tasks because it's not quite the same as a callback reminder, right? And it's not quite the same as a note because it is connected to a time and a date. And it can give you those notifications and reminders. And it can be assigned to multiple users. So that is an example of what you could use a task for in this situation. And then lastly, one thing I'll show you, which is just another layer of communication that you can add to this, would be an action plan. Now, the primary difference between e-plans and action plans is the type of communication. So action plans can contain text messages, ringless voicemail, tasks, and email. Whereas the e-plans, those are just emails. Okay, there's no involvement with a phone number or anything like that. So the action plans can have multiple communication channels. And for somebody that, let's say, you are nurturing or you want to, maybe you want to give them like a higher level of communication, you can have an action plan for that. So what a lot of our clients have done is they've recorded videos. They have video content that we've loaded into landing pages for them. And they use that as part of their follow-up. So that could be integrated into this plan. We could use we could use something that is just maybe a voicemail, right? Maybe a series of voicemails saying, just wanted to let you know, I sent you a list of my preferred vendors, or I just want to follow up with you. It could really be anything, but I would say it does require some thought, and you don't want to just assign any old plan to these people because you've already met with them. You already have built a bit of a rapport with them. So having a plan that you've designed specifically for that reason, right, to follow up with somebody after you've met with them. Actually, now that I'm talking through this, what would make sense is to have an action plan that is a post-meeting action plan. So maybe you've got one version that would be for somebody who has agreed to either list with you or sign a buyer's representation agreement. And that plan would all be about laying out the next steps of what they can expect from you, okay? And that could be obviously a text message that thanks them for meeting with you, letting them know you're going to be emailing them basically the list of things that you're going to be providing. And then if they don't agree, right? So let's say they're not quite ready to sign, then you can include those next steps, but more as this is what you can expect when you do sign, that type of thing. So we do have quite a few templates in our system that you can take a look at. You can find all of the action plans here in this drop-down menu. And this drop-down menu that I'm on right now in Engage, that's pretty much where you can find everything that has to do with the CRM. So there's quite a few items here. We don't really have time to go through each and every one, but if you're ever looking for something within the CRM, most likely it's found here. You're going to see it here. So the action plans, this is the action plans manager, and you'll see that we already have a number of action plans under our own library that have been created. But we also have our action plan library, and these are things that have been created either by our team or we've gotten them through some of our own affiliates and partners, like Craig Proctor has provided us with action plans that he uses for his coaching members. We've got action plans that are based on events like anniversaries, birthdays, campaigns. So take a look at these because there's a lot of content in each one that you can use and edit, refine, customize for whatever purpose you want. I think one of the examples that I like to look at, so in the Proctor plans, we have, let's see, I think there was new listing. Okay, so these were a series of tasks, right? So, and I think this was before we actually had the ability to send out text messages and whatnot. So these plans were really just a series of tasks that people had to follow when they got a new listing client, things like that. But we've done multiple calls and training sessions just on action plans specifically. So you can take a look at those, go back into our library. And speaking of that, we've started to move a lot of our sprint sessions and sprint training videos into the help section. We do have a separate portal through our Jumpstart membership site, which I know some of you go to and you log into, but it's always been a bit of a disconnect because the login for that is different from your Command Center login. So you have to go to a couple of different places to get the training material. What we've started to do with the help of Rob, who's on the call today, is get that video content into our help section, into our knowledge library. So right now, that's what I'm looking at, is in the help, we've got knowledge library, and then we've got this category, success sprint training. And you can see we've got the last 3 that are here. Okay, so you can go in, take a look, and it's all here. You can actually view the video, and it's just much easier to find. Another new addition to our dashboard is adding the agent secrets content. So every other week, we host a special 1-hour session where I will sometimes have a special guest, or I'll give a special presentation that is a bit more broad in terms of the subject matter. So we had Steve Raitt on last week. He was taking us through a live demo of a new platform that we've been developing here at Success Website called Referably. And we are getting ready to launch that. So as a lead up to our launch, we have been starting to push out some content about it. And you may have been on it last week. If you were, that's awesome. If not, you can watch the video here. So all of that content is now available in this news section on the right. So we just want it to be very, very easy for everyone to see the content that we are pushing out and working pretty hard to put together for you, and get it all in one place. Okay. Now, so while there's more I could talk about like categorizing leads and making sure you've got the right status, and making sure that they're all up to date, I do want to talk about the AI component here, because when you have leads in the system, you want to be engaging with them. You want them to be coming back to the website. You want them to be sending information back. So there's a couple of ways to make sure that happens. One thing that we've noticed after doing this for many, many years is we do get a higher response rate to text messages than any other form of communication. That seems to be the channel that people respond to the most at the highest rate. So our AI lead qualifier is all through text. And I'll give you an example of that. And one way that I've made sure that it's easy for me to find those examples in this CRM is the use of tags. So you can assign tags to your leads as well. Now, a good way to use tags would be, okay, let's say there isn't a label under status or type that fits exactly how you want to categorize that lead. So tags are customizable. You can create whatever kind of tag you want and then assign it to the leads that you want to assign them to. So I have one that's AI response because I want to be able to quickly find those leads that have responded to the AI so I can show them. So those are these ones. You'll see they have that here by the tag. And in the conversation, I'll just show you an example of what that looks like. So when a lead comes in, and this is looks like there's quite a long timeline here. So when the lead comes in, we have an AI smart reply that will automatically go out. Now, this is something that is connected to our stay in contact system. And I'm just going to stop somewhere because I don't want to just be scrolling back and forth. But it does a pretty good job of getting people to respond. And what's nice is when they do respond, the AI will respond back to that lead. So you can jump in once that lead is qualified. And I think that if somebody's been engaging with the AI and answering those questions, that should definitely move them to the top of the list in terms of follow-up and make sure that you are aware that this person has been responding. You should see those notifications up here, okay? In that top right corner, there's a bell that will have a number on it. So you got to take a look at that also when you log into the CRM. That's very important. But these conversations that are happening with the AI is just getting that person further down the funnel where they're past the awareness stage. Now they are in that consideration stage, or they're actually showing you and talking to you about what it is that they're looking for, what it is that they want. So those are good, right? We want to have as many of those as possible. But you'll also notice that in this timeline, there's a lot of stuff happening. Now, granted, this is a demo, right? So these are obviously things that we've been testing. But when you're going through that conversation, you should be really getting a whole timeline of events that have happened with that particular lead. And that could be perhaps, of course, the AI conversation. It could be an action plan that's been going out that has content already. It could be maybe a notice of property updates that have been going out. So property updates are also a great way to stay in contact with the leads. So these are all things that can be done automatically without you having to actually do it manually. But it's very important, even if it's being done automatically, that you are monitoring the responses, right? Because that's not automatic. You have to be keeping an eye on it. That's why I started this call off asking how many of you are logging in on a regular basis and how much time do you spend in the CRM? And it's, to me, that is a key indication of how successful you are with your follow-up. Because if you're not logging into your CRM, if you're not monitoring the activity and really paying attention to what's happening in there and trying to engage with people and pushing out messaging, putting people on plans, categorizing them. I know it seems like a lot of work. It is. It's a lot of admin work, but if it's done consistently, it is going to get more of those leads from that top of funnel position down to the bottom, which that's where you start making the money. That's when you start converting the leads. That's when all of your marketing spend, all of the effort that you've put in to generating those leads starts to pay off, right? So that is super important. Okay, so we've got a couple more minutes here. Feel free to enter in a question if you have one. But I think that as far as any key takeaways are concerned, I'm just going to go back to my document here, back to my objectives, because what we're really trying to do is organize the database and make sure that you don't just have a massive list of names and phone numbers and emails, all with the same status, all with the same categories. We want to make sure that we are turning that database into a commission generating machine, right? So it's really, really easy to identify and sift and sort and know who you need to be paying attention to. So I showed you how to change the status of the leads, right? So they're not active lead, they're talk to lead or appointment met or appointment set or closed or whatever. There's a whole list of statuses that you can choose from, right? That is here, okay, in this list here. I also showed you how to set a callback, pick a date, make sure you've got it on the calendar to call that person back, make your notes. Very, very important. Those notes need to be there. If there's not a note, it didn't happen, okay? Just get that into your head. You may have done something with this lead, right? You may have called them, you may have emailed them, you may have talked to them. If it's not in the notes, it didn't happen, okay? So that's just something you got to get into your head as a mindset, because trust me, down the road, you'll understand how important that is. And then lastly, getting them on those follow-up plans, right? The e-plans, the monthly newsletters, the property updates, the action plans. Those are all things that you should be also doing for those leads. And using AI as part of your follow-up strategy, I would say, is definitely something worth doing. I've seen really good results from it. We've been watching it probably for over a year now, at least. We have a lot of data to look at now, and the results are good. I can definitely say we're getting a good response rate for those AI lead qualifiers. So no qualms about recommending that as part of your follow-up strategy. Okay, so there's some pretty good tidbits in there for you. Hopefully this has been helpful. And I think that, okay, I can see we got some comments here. And I know that some of you are maybe like a little technically challenged and you need some help setting these things up. So absolutely, we are here to help you with that. And I think the first step is to come up with a plan of what you want to do. Do you want help setting up a specific follow-up plan? Do you want help going through these leads and making sure they're up to date? But to be honest and just to be straight with you, if you're not logging in and looking at your database, looking at your CRM on a daily basis, we can be doing all sorts of things for you. It's not going to matter, okay? Because you need to be monitoring those responses and making sure that you are aware of what's happening in the database, okay? We cannot do that for you. Okay. Yes, so I know you need to set it up properly. No issues there. Yes, you can create your own action plans. Everything in the CRM pretty much is customizable. There are some things that are locked in terms of the different status types and things like that. But as I said, tags, totally customizable, action plans, customizable, e-plans, all of that content can be customized. So if you have something specific that you'd like to set up, for instance, like that post-meeting action plan, right? Yes, you've got everything there you've got all of the pieces to put that together. So all we need to do is get it set up, make sure that it's also set up to to go live or to be activated when lead when that is appropriate, and then that's it. Right now we're starting to build a real system that we can again build on. So these are all things that we teach every other week. These are things that we believe in really strongly because we know that as far as technology is concerned, things are changing at a rapid pace. There's so much we can do with it, but it does require our attention. So think about it, and you can always review this video very shortly in our help section, which I'm kind of jazzed about because, to be honest, it's been a bit of a pain getting people to log into a separate portal to view our training materials. So looking forward to seeing more of that here. And then we'll be back next week with our Agent Secrets content. We will go deep into a specific topic, or I'll have special guests on as part of that. And then we will have another sprint in 2 weeks. So thanks for taking the time with me today, everybody. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.